All right, gang, thank you so much for this week's Capitalize coaching call. I appreciate you guys being here. We've got a great crowd on the Zoom. We've also, let's see here, I'm getting notes here. Let's see. I'm telling someone to come on in. So thanks, guys. I love it. The beautiful thing about the growing nature of these calls is that we've got folks, we've got someone in New Zealand who's watching. We've got folks from the Capitalize Your Best Elite group. There's a couple of other Facebook groups. It's a wonderful group of people that are a part of it. And so my goal every week with this is to give just 30 minutes of marketing or business or a little bit of life advice, a little bit. And so I enjoy doing that. And it's primarily geared towards the Capitalize Your Best clients, but we're doing everything we can to invite folks in along the way, just to kind of experience the community and what we're doing. So this week's topic. Last week, by the way, we did everything you need to know about. It was a deep dive on Grant Cardone and just everything you need to know about his that I can pack in there for 30 minutes. Let me see here. Recheck the group, and I just posted the Zoom link. I love it. I love it. The crowd's just like trying to get on in here. So what I want to share with you is the best advice I was given. One, I got it from one person for free, and another person I had to pay $4,000 for it. But it happened at the same time, and it was an affirmation of where I was going. So as you guys know, I value coaching, and I pay for coaching every single year. I've paid for John Maxwell coaching. I've paid for the Grant Cardone coaching. I paid for course creation coaching, sales coaching. This year I'm doing a mindset coach, which has just been fantastic, better than I could have imagined. But this came from a sales coach last year. I had done a 3-year Grant Cardone sales coaching, but it was passive. It was watching videos. I couldn't just call up someone and say, hey, can you help me with this? And I have a good friend up in Canada. He's an international sales coach. He's a person of faith. I trusted him. And he has a successful track record. And he put together something for me, a special package for me to work with him for a couple of months. And it was definitely worthwhile. And so what I wanted to do with him, it wasn't necessarily give me a tactic, help me figure out how to overcome objections. That was really more of what the time with Grant Cardone was. Grant Cardone was more, hey, this is how you deal with this objection. Here are strategies, that kind of thing. With my sales coach last year, it was really more about, how do I gain greater exposure for sales? So it was sort of a marketing and sales thing. But before that, I had a chance last year, and I'm going to tease out the advice. You're just going to have to wait on it. I'm not going to give it to you first thing. So there's always a story to tell here. I sat down last year, had 2 meetings with an international marketing agency. And this person has worked with everybody that I admire. He has worked with Grant Cardone. He's worked with Russell Brunson. He's worked with Alex Hormozi, like all the podcasters and the writers that I love following. He's done their marketing for them. Ron, great to see you, sir. So, and I got a chance last year to sit with this agency owner twice. He came recommendation from a friend. It was very cool. And he likes to keep a low profile. Unlike me, I like to put my face on every single thing over and over and over again. He just runs his business. And so we sat down with him, or I sat down with him. And again, we do not know each other. We're at a coffee shop. And he's like, well, the first thing I got to say to you, Gordon, he goes, I have no idea who you are. And he didn't mean that ugly. He's like, I typed your name in a search engine. I found the bagpipe player. And I was like, yeah, I faced that. The world's foremost bagpipe player in the world is named Gordon Duncan. So I kind of have to wrestle with that a little bit. He goes, but that's not the case, Gordon. He goes, like, if you're going to do what you're going to do, people need to be able, like, you need to overcome that. It's not that big of a deal. Like, people need to find capitalized marketing. They need to find your agency. And he goes, and I had to hunt to find you, and you're just not everywhere. He goes, so the biggest problem is if you want to break beyond just being a local marketing person, which is part of my design. I have a big vision, a multi-million-dollar agency with international impact. He's like, if you want to do that, he goes, that's what you've got to figure out how to do. How much content do you create a month? And at that time, the number was, well, I'm doing about 250 pieces of content a month. Now, by way of comparison, right now I'm doing 650 pieces of content a month for me and Capitalize. And he's like, yeah, you're going to have to get to about 10 times that at some point in time. And I'm like, well, listen, I'm on a growth track here. He goes, no, I'm serious. He goes, you need to be getting to thousands of pieces of content a month. And I'm like, I'm working on it. He's like, he goes, I'm not beating you up. It's just the reality. If your goal is to scale and have at least a national platform or an international platform, that's what's going to be necessary. And then when he looked through my content, he actually came and sat in the back of one of my seminars, sort of as it was really kind of him. He didn't have to do this at all, just sort of like a passive observer. He didn't ask any questions. And then the second time we met, he gave me feedback on that, which was really, really helpful. And, but his initial advice was, Gordon, you're not doing the things consistently that are going to break you into a larger audience. And I would pride myself on that. I am doing things consistently, right? That's where I was. And it's one of the things that I market to you guys. Just like, what's the daily consistent content that you're creating? And honestly, I guess I was just limiting myself by my capacity or my ability. I just didn't think it could be done, at least not on my scale of what I could accomplish myself. Now, as a quick note, guys, I'm producing 3 times the amount of content I was a year and a half ago or a year ago, and it's still me. I mean, at this point in time, it's still me creating my content. I will eventually I don't have a publicist. I don't have someone following me around every single day with a camera. That'd be wonderful. By way of, like, when you see someone like Gary Vee or Brad Lee or these folks that have these large audiences, they have just a camera dude who follows them around all day long and records every conversation, and in every spare moment will ask them a question. And I'm not saying they have it easy. They've earned that right by doing the hard work. But when you see all this content they're creating, they literally have a team that just follows them around. And at this point in time, they go from 1,000 pieces of content to 5,000 pieces. Like Alex Hormozi will say, and if you follow him, he has a great podcast called The Game. He is way smarter than his age. It's ridiculous how wise that guy is in terms of marketing and sales. That was the same thing he was told when he was doing the 1,000 pieces of content. They're like, you just got to just massively scale. And so, he created a studio, but then he's got the person who, when he is out and about, follows him. And I had always thought to myself, well, that's when I'll be able to scale, is when I can afford. And I honestly don't know if I want someone following me around all day. I'll be honest, like, I really don't. But I can imagine the benefit of having somebody who follows you around 2 or 3 hours a day. But so this agency owner just said, Gordon, I just don't know who you are. I can just go here. No one knows who you are. You probably have an audience. You have a small following. And to a certain extent, it's 100% true. And again, I want to make this will all be applicable to you guys in a few moments, I promise. So I walked away from that kind of dismayed, beaten up, because at that point in time, I just thought it's just not going to be possible, and I thought I had been working to capacity. So then I get time with the sales coach. Now, I found this sales coach because I was paying for a program 2 years ago, and he was being paid to be the sales coach for that program. And this coach does a weekly call every single Thursday at 10. And so he's talking to me, and he's like, Gordon, how many speaking gigs or seminars do you do? And at that point in time, I was doing about 25 a year. And last year I did 40. This year, I will do over 60, maybe even 75 speaking gigs a year. And that's all part of this, the scalable process. And so in that program, what I paid him for, we would do one-on-ones almost weekly for about 2 months. And he said to me, you've got to do this one thing. This one thing is going to cause you to scale your business. It's going to take you about 2 years to do it. And he goes, you have to do a weekly coaching call every single week for 2 years and never stop it. And I was like, I can't. I was like, I cannot imagine making, there it is, Kenny gets the camera on. I was like, I cannot imagine in the midst of my schedule of my life finding the ability to do what you guys are experiencing right now every single week. And what he said to me, he goes, Gordon, I run a multi-million-dollar sales coaching business. I have the same number of kids as you. I'm as busy as you. He goes, and I run a coaching call every single week, Thursdays at 10. He goes, so you can't tell me that you're busier than I am. And I was just, and you know what? I never did it last year. I went all last year. I scaled with my seminars. Like I said, I went from 25 to 40. And I scaled my content, and now we're up to 650 a month, and I'm going to have 40 plus. 40 plus last year. I'll be at well 50 or 60, maybe even 70 this year. But this was the advice. The advice was you have to make not just a commitment for more, but a consistent commitment and be willing to suffer and have zero interactions in such a way that you build an audience that people will eventually tune into you and find you as their source. Now, I want to break that down a little bit as it relates to you guys. I'm not telling any of you start at 11 o'clock coaching call on Thursday. If you do, please don't start at 11 o'clock on Thursday, please. And I'll be honest with you, I picked 11 o'clock because my coach is at 10 o'clock, and we do have some overlap. I'm not going to go do that to the guy. There's a bunch at 10 o'clock internationally for these kind of things. But first of all, I looked at my schedule. And I just left a meeting with Erica. We have a standing networking meeting every Thursday at 9 a.m. in person, which is one of the most fun parts of my week. And it's phenomenal. And I thought, okay, I found a way to make that work for me every single Thursday at 9. I'm not going to do 10, and I need a little transition between the two for my brain anyway. I'm going to do every Thursday at 11. And I made a commitment that if no one shows up, I'm going to record it and repurpose it for future content. And I was like, so wonderful to see all you guys here. Like I said, we've got people in multiple Facebook groups, but I had to make part of it. I had to get over myself because I thought, how in the world am I going to attract a crowd every single week, Thursday at 11? And my buddy is at 10. He's got like 50, 60 people in there every single week. And it's his harvesting of leads every single day. I mean, every single week. And I know that just like anything else I'm starting, that's what it would take. Now, in addition, if any of you guys read my content, I've started something brand new this year where I'm doing these graphic series, 3 affirmations for this, 7 tips, strategies to be productive. I started a brand new one today, 3 tips to capitalize on chaos. And my goal is to get those daily. That I'll have a brand new series, a graphic series that I'm creating. And you know what? My interaction on those has been zilch. People are used to my regular content, but what Facebook sees me doing is I'm pushing into greater posting. If you guys sit in my coaching, I'll tell you 10 to 14 pieces of content a week. I'm getting ready to move into like 20 pieces of content a week. And Facebook pushes back. They do. Like the algorithm is going to have to get used to me. And I'm not crowding out my own content. I always tell you, if you got a good piece of content, you don't post on top of it. But what's happening is I'm like, where are the niches I'm not finding? I'm not posting at 7 a.m. and I'm not posting at 9 p.m. Those audiences are dead. Those are prime spots for me to fill in content. Like I need to have, it's not like I'm telling you to work every moment of the day, but I need to just have a piece of content I can post at 9 p.m. and go to bed. And if it catches on, great. If not, the algorithm will find me. And so what I'm doing is I'm making daily and weekly commitments that are outside my norm of my marketing that will have to grow into acceptability. And for a period of time are going to look like absolute failures. Now, this has been wonderful. As to date, we've not had a 0 attendance, and I'm very thankful. You guys rock and roll. There's going to be a day where I pull up and I'm like, well, I'm talking to myself, and that's totally okay because it'll turn into a podcast episode, right? And I'll be like, hey, this week we're going to do something special, and then it'll become a piece of content, right? But you know what? I found a way to do a daily podcast 5.5 years ago, and a weekly podcast, and I haven't missed that for 5.5 years. So I don't want you guys to feel like that the advice from the marketing agency or my sales coach is to tell you guys to work every moment of the day. I could do that. I could happily work every moment of the day. And I have to tell myself to power down. I really do. But the advice is this. The advice is to, where is the commitment you can make to grow your marketing and speak to new people that you're just resisting? I paid for that coach last year and I resisted this commitment all year long. I didn't take his advice. I was like, well, I'll do more seminars. You know, that I can do that. But he's like, this will grow it. I mean, he's got 40 people that he just finished with this morning from 10 a.m. that half of them are clients and half of them are leads. And then he's got a follow-up system that now he's constantly gaining new clients and growing his business. I'll give Ron, if you don't mind, I'm going to point you out for a minute. Ron has faithfully, you make a video, I think, every single day, Ron. If not, it's about 5 days a week. And I've seen, and Ron has been phenomenal. Ron is an author and he's also a publisher. And I remember about 3 months ago, Ron said, Gordon, I'm not getting any responses. And then about 6 weeks ago, you're like, I just got a new client, right? And so, but it's hard to keep, like, we're like, am I doing it wrong? Well, no, we're getting better. Am I gaining an audience? You're gaining an audience in the background that you're not seeing. But it's the daily, weekly, monthly, consistent actions. That's the real marketing that magically, you know what I mean by magically, at some point in time gains the audience. You're getting better. Now, if you're a client on my Telegram channel, I know not everybody in all these worlds is on the Telegram channel. Today, I told folks, if you get 10% better and you produce 10% more pieces of content, it doesn't take 10% more time. It doesn't. Like, you get better. One of our clients today, Linda, who's not here she couldn't be here today. She's like, it used to take me 45 minutes to do this blog, and now I'm doing it in such a shorter amount of time and posting it. And that's the consistent marketing. Every one of us knows someone in our respective fields. We know a realtor, we know an author, we know a publisher who after a couple of months goes, this doesn't work. And don't get me wrong, don't do things that don't work. But typically the things that work over the long term take the long term. It takes a thick skin. It takes resiliency. It takes our feelings getting hurt. It takes us getting better over and over again. But quite often we don't do it long enough to get better. But once we're consistent enough to do it over and over again, we just flat out get better. So the agency told me, Gordon, I'm just not seeing you. You're not being consistent enough. And I was patting myself on the shoulder for being super consistent. And then my sales coach is like, you're not doing the weekly things and willing to have zero to small audience to build the audience that you want. That's the free and the $4,000 advice I got. What I love is feedback. And we're going to go over 30 minutes today. If you guys are willing, it's just no way because I talked for 20. Thoughts or questions or feedback? How can I help you guys? What do you think? Pushback. And I'm also going to look at the Facebook groups to see if anything. Do you guys say anything? I'm going to take a sip of water. Anybody? Does it feel daunting? Is anybody like, Gordon, you're already making me do too much content already as it is? Landia, you're right. I mean, consistency with social media algorithms, like people are like, oh, I'm being shadow banned. I'm like, you're not, your content's probably not good enough. I mean, like I'm being banned, or like the algorithm suppressing me. I'm like, well, then out suppress the algorithm. I literally had someone tell me the other day, yesterday, I was in a sales call, and they're like, well, I just got tired of posting content and nobody liking it. And I'm like, well, then you've got to create content that people like. And I don't know what I don't know. You're right, Kenny. But you're here. So I got to give you credit for you're here. And then we have to be consistent students. When I'm out running, I'm constantly listening to people smarter than myself in this industry, because I don't either. I mean, I haven't, what's the new social media platform that I have not, Blue Sky. Like Blue Sky is brand new. Well, I'm on there. and I'm trying to figure out how to navigate it. My goal is to get about 3 months ahead of you guys so I can tell you how to use Blue Sky. Eric, I'll read your comment in one moment. What I learned the other day is a couple of months ago is that Snap is competing against TikTok now by creating a video algorithm. Snap used to be that I could send Kenny a message and it would expire in 24 hours. That still happens. But now they've got like a Reels TikTok function. Well, I started posting on there and I get about 100 views per video. Great. I don't know anybody on that platform outside maybe the 2 people I've ever snapped. But I'm like, why am I, if I'm creating all this content, why am I not putting a piece of content on Snap? I didn't even know that. So Kenny, the whole point being, you're right. We don't know what we don't know, but as we learn it, then all of a sudden we get better and better consistently. But in the marketing age we're in now, it changes so fast. And we might say, I don't want to be on social media. Well, to a certain extent, that's like saying, I don't want to make money. You're right. But it's where we're at. Erica's like, it's a little loud, so I won't take myself off mute. I needed a reminder about marketing, consistency, prioritizing, and building the consistent plan where everything gets thrown off track. And Erica, I've seen you do that. I mean, your content has increased and it's become more targeted. And I've also begun to see you, like, I'll give you kudos, Erica. You're better at this than I am. Is that you're great at asking questions that people give just wonderful, simple answers for. Like you just asked the other day, what was it? It might come off the 2.5 year Excel spreadsheet. I don't even know, but it was one of the questions like, what's a non-negotiable? I think was the question you asked. And like, boom, people were just hitting it. Well, one, you've got people who follow you, who enjoy interacting with you. And that's a question people love answering because it gives them a chance to represent themselves. So when you say what's a non-negotiable, I mean, all of a sudden you got, I don't know how many comments, and I'm sure you were reacting to each one, but you've been building that. You've been building the consistency in your reels. But no matter what, life throws us off track. And so over on the business side, that's why I'm spending about 3 or 4 hours every single Sunday loading that up in terms of like scheduled content, just massive amounts of scheduled content over there. So great job. Other thoughts or questions or feedback? Anything else? Ron, I can't tell if you're trying to say something or not. You want me to get you off mute? Let's see. I'm going to ask you to unmute, and then you should be able to just click that, and it should unmute you.
There
we go.
I don't know if this applies because I got in late, but I do a blog, and then I also do I do a video post, and I just recently started. What I did was I did reverse. Once heard that what you do is do a blog, and then you turn that into posts. Well, I did a post and turned it into a blog, into my blog. Is that I don't know if this fits what you're talking about or not, but I'm just wondering if that's a good way to go. I just did it, and I don't know what response I'm going to get or anything, but it certainly simplified things for me.
Yeah, I mean, that's similar, like in module 3 in the course, we do a thing called a magic document, but it's really about repurposing content. Like I said, what you're doing is absolutely right. I mean, you're taking a blog and you're turning it into other pieces of content. What I'm doing with this graphic series is I'm staggering it on my personal page. And then about 3 days later, I'm posting it on the business page. And then I use an app just called Video Shop. And then I take the graphics and I make a small video out of the graphics. And then I'm uploading the video over on TikTok. And then I'm doing the same thing over Reels, but I'm staggering them in different places because, again, I can't create 750 original pieces of content. I can probably create about 150 pieces of original content, and I can break that up, but it's got to be strategically done. So I know that over on TikTok, I'll just do that as a quick video. I'll be specific about what music I put behind it. And then I even at one point in time, I was experimenting. I was actually doing a video every day explaining the graphic. I haven't kept that up, but that's also possible. Like if I want to do when I did the 7-part series on productivity, I did a video for that every single day. So, but that's very much it, Ron. Like the only way we're going to become massive amounts of content is making that daily commitment, that weekly commitment that we don't let go away. And then we find ways to repurpose it. Like one thing I can do that I haven't done is I can send my 550 podcast episodes over to someone on Fiverr, and I can pay them $50, and they can break those into individual pieces of content for me. Like they're going to sit through and listen through every single one, and they're going to give me video chunks and audio chunks. I just haven't made the investment yet, but I easily can do that. And then Ron, you can do that at some point in time easily as well. But that's one of those avenues. Like, well, what do I do with what I've done? Now, here's the great thing. Here's what we do. We'll create a piece of content. This is going to happen for all of you. 6 months from now, you're like, I got nothing to say. And then you go back and you find that piece of content from 6 months ago, which is still good and representative. No one remembers you posted that. I wish people were like, Gordon, you're repurposing your content too much. No, that would be wonderful, but they don't. Especially when you post a piece of content and you don't get good reaction from it. If it's a good piece of content, man, bring that thing back next week. Bring that thing back next month. Give it a little space. But sometimes we do that perfect piece of content and it just falls flat. Well, if it's a good piece of content, repurpose it. If it needs to be tweaked, tweak it. Go back into Canva and change up the wording and change up something like that. If you found the perfect photo and you got nothing on it, and use that photo again, just give it some space. You know, but in that, the whole point being is, how do we become everywhere? And so for me, in that, I had to make a greater commitment to do it.
So I
This
could
is
do,
one of those commitments. What's that?
I could take my videos that I upload to YouTube, and it gives me all these different places that I can share it with. What I've been doing is clicking on one and then another one, and all at the same day. What you're saying is I could actually schedule this and maybe even get on some of these other platforms that I'm not even on, and just repurpose it each time, be a different platform, and a different day for that matter. And also saying that I can go back, well, if I'm understanding you right, I've got a lot of podcasts, like the one Becoming a Published Author is Fun. Well, I started renumbering them at the beginning of this year. So so I got quite a few of them, plus my Christian News and Views. I got that one is growing. So I can go back and use that, although Christian News and Views is kind of definitely old, because that's old news. But they're becoming a published author is fun. I'm giving out advice to people. And that's not necessarily old advice. It still works.
Exactly. Like some of you guys knew my story that for about 3 or 4 weeks, my This Is Gonna Hurt podcast, 500 plus episodes, was taken down, disappeared. Spotify said I was using it to publish music, which is ridiculous. Never done that ever. And I couldn't, it just disappeared. Well, fortunately, I keep copies of all my episodes, but 30,000 views was gone. Well, I had a sidecast a few years ago called Capitalize Your Best for real estate. I just rebranded that platform as just Capitalize Your Best podcast. And so wonderfully, I got This Is Gonna Hurt back. And now I've got 2 platforms I'm going to grow. I'm going to do that. But the good thing is, over on the Capitalize Your Best podcast, I'm now on Wednesdays repurposing old This Is Gonna Hurt episodes. And I'm on Wednesdays, I'm like, hey, this is a replay of that episode. And then I post it. I might tweet it. I might put it on Instagram, but I need to grow that platform now. But I go back and I find select episodes, because just like that, Ron, some of mine, some of those are current, if I'm reviewing a movie, or if I'm not going to repurpose that one. But some of those episodes are interviews or just times I was talking about things. Doesn't hurt me. All I got to do is upload it to the platform, put it out there. And you know what? If I get 5 listens to it or 5 views, great. It literally, I've done enough of these episodes now. I can post one of those and create a graphic for it in 5 minutes. And it's just good repurposed content. And it gives me a chance to grow that new platform. Whereas I'm not going to, if I got this, now that I have the old one back, I'm not going to abandon that. So now I'm just going to try to grow both. But part of it is for all of us. I mean, the big takeaway is, where is it you need to make a commitment for your marketing? The goal here is not just X number of pieces of content, because none of us in this room, our goal is to be an influencer per se. I mean, you will be, but I'm not looking to make money off my views. I think I make less than $100 a month off of Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I am monetized, but that's not how I'm making my living. I mean, really not. Honestly, I just put that back into ads. I never see that. And so, but for all of us here, the goal is, how do we get into a rhythm and a commitment to make marketing to our target audience? That's always the case. The goal here is to create your personal brand and speak to your target audience. So I got to give Kenny credit. Kenny just created his 5-fold brand. You've got more direction in your marketing going from yesterday on than you've ever had, Kenny. And then you don't know what you don't know, but you're here. So all of a sudden your scalability is just infinite. And it will be, because you're going from, I'm throwing spaghetti against the wall, posting here or there, but now you've got actual strategic target marketing. So you've made that initial commitment. For all of us now, it's like, well, what is the commitment I'm overlooking that I can make to get that out there? And initially, it's going to be a pain in the butt to your life, but eventually it won't be. So if I go on vacation, I still post a lot. But I was like, okay, I know the week ahead, I've got to create all that stuff. I know that I got to create that podcast ahead of time, because my family doesn't want me recording podcasts on Monday mornings, nor do I. And so then I just keep that. So I know that in this part of the weekly commitments, how do I have a life? Well, I've got tons of friends who could guess this for me. If I can't keep a Thursday coaching call, I've got buddies and I've got wonderful men and women who can come in and actually lead this coaching call for me. And you might actually enjoy having it mixed up for me. All those obstacles and the objections easily overcome once I made the commitment. So thoughts or questions, guys? Anything? Feel free to turn off your mic or text them. Someone on one of the Facebook groups just said, how do you find the time? It's the question, guys. I mean, part of it is, and I'll just say this, and I don't mean to hurt anybody's feelings. If you're not caring for a client or actively in sales, this is what you do with your time. I mean, you're either marketing, like you're actually reaching out to people, caring for a client. Otherwise, this is what your job is. You don't have anything else to do. Your job is marketing. And so thanks, Erica. And that's hard for people to realize, but otherwise you're not doing anything. So we're either caring for clients, actively in sales. Yesterday I did 50, this is aside from this, yesterday I did 50 personal messages, resulted in 4 sales calls. If I'm gonna be cooped up in my house for 9 hours, and that's what yesterday was. I didn't have any actual calls scheduled. It was at home because of snow. I sent out 50 personal messages yesterday and got on the phone with 4 people. Like, I'm either doing that, I'm either caring for clients, or I am marketing. And that's how you find the time. Otherwise, you're just kind of hanging out and having fun. If that's what you want to do, great. If you want to grow your business, this is what it looks like. So any last thoughts or questions? All right, you guys rock and roll. Thanks for everyone seeing here. Londi, Ron, Kenny, everybody who's on the Facebook groups. I appreciate it a ton. I will create a video for this, and I'll get it posted up on all the Facebook groups soon. And I'll see you guys again next week. All right. Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.